The land explored by our ancestors extends from the Altai to the White Sea. The scientific expedition Trails of Nomads is set to unveil the path of our forefathers. A 3-year-long expedition heads for the west. A group of scientists led by pilgrim of the 21st century, Sapari Skaka visited more than 20 countries in 70 days. Watch an amazing story of a great journey in the program Trails of Nomads. In today's Trails of Nomads episode, what manuscripts confirm close economic ties between Deshti-Kipchak and Venice? With what words begins the preface of the Codex Cumanicus book? Why was Venice interested in the formation of the Kazakh family? History is not only the lessons of the past, it is the ability to see the horizons of the future. Therefore, to realize a centuries-long chronicle is the eternal task of any people, every state. The same purpose is set by the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads. This time, scientists are heading to the southern part of Europe. The next stop after Hungary is Italy, and to be exact, the historical Venice.
Бүгін мынау Венеция қаласына келіп отырмыз. Венециядан қаласының өзінде көп жерлерден біз сол кісілердің бабаларымыз ізін көріп отырмыз.
We arrived in Venice. Our ancestors left many traces here. This, for example, is the quarter of traders from Asia. The bas-relief inside the church, the book Codex Cumanicus, and Fra Mauro map kept in the library confirm that the Kipchaks lived in Venice. Our ancestors had close trade and economic relations with them. They lived here and left their descendants in this place.
Fra Mauroның соның бәрі дәлел болады. Біздің бабаларымыз сауда-саттықпен өте үлкен қарым-қатынас жасаған, осы жақта тұрған, осы жақта мүмкін ұрпақтарда қалған.
More than 18 million tourists visit the fantastic city on the water every year. They are attracted by medieval temples and historical buildings such as St. Mark's Basilica, Santa Maria by Miracoli, San Giorgio Maggiore. In general, over the past 500 years, Venice has not changed at all. This is the only city on the earth that has not changed for centuries. The ancient city was founded in the 5th century BC, and in the middle of this millennium, Venice became independent. From that moment, the city-state became a center of trade, a kind of bridge connecting the West and with the East. Just at that time, close trade and economic relations were established between Deshti-Kipchak and Venice. Deshti-Kipchak and Venice established trade relations in the 12th, 13th centuries. At this time, Venetian merchants were trading in the Crimea and Kipchaks in Venice. It was these relations that became the basis for the appearance of the book Codex Cumanicus. This dictionary is written in 3 languages, Kipchak, Persian, and Latin. All this was done first of all for the convenience of merchants, so that they could communicate in trade. Then, in Deshti-Kipchak residents spoke only Kipchak language.
Фарс тілінде и латин тілінде. Ондағы себебі сауда жасаған уақытта адамдарға түсінікті болсын. Қандай зат сатып алады, қандай бағаға сатып алады. И ол кезінде Дешти-Кипчак бір-ақ тілде сөйлеген Кипчак тілінде.
The book Codex Cumanicus is considered the property of human thought. Now there is only one copy of this dictionary. This valuable exhibit is kept in the National Marciano Library, which is located on St. Mark's Square in Venice. Not everyone can take in hands a unique book written in the 13th century. Still, head of Kazakh scientific expedition, Sapari Skakov, managed to agree with the museum's management and obtain a rare exhibit for study. As a result, scientists have revealed information about the relationship between Deshti-Kipchak and Venice, and the culture of the Kipchaks. Since 1630, the book Codex Cumanicus is kept in the library of the Doge's Palace, which is on the St. Mark's Square. It is unknown where it was previously kept. There is no information about this, and yet there are many different assumptions. For example, someone says that the book was in the library of the famous poet of the Renaissance era, Francesco Petrarca. Some others say that the dictionary, along with other manuscripts, was donated to the Church of St. Mark's in 1362. But not all scientists agree with this version. Of course, research is needed to find out where the book was before the 17th century. One thing is clear, and there's no doubt that the dictionary was widely used by Venetian merchants who traded along the Great Silk Road.
E qui hanno lasciato il codice, forse nell'ambito di Palazzo Ducale.
Codex Cumanicus is inscribed in Latin letters on the flyleaf of the book. The book contains no information about the authors. According to researchers, it was written on the Black Sea coast and published in Venice. The Dictionary for Merchants has translations of Kipchak words in Persian and Latin languages. The preface begins with the following words, "In the name of the Most High." The dictionary also contains more than 2,500 Turkic words. This indicates that the authors of the book were Kipchaks. Reading the Codex Cumanicus, we plunge into the 13th century. This dictionary is not just a tool for conducting trade relations. The book helped various peoples to communicate with each other and accelerate the integration process, and this is especially valuable. In addition to the translations of words in it, there are prayers, musical works, music score, and various riddles. The book also has a picture of a parrot. This, too, most likely, has its own reasons. The book Codex Cumanicus is considered the richest fund of Kazakh folklore. The dictionary offers such a puzzle, Akkumenen Auze Yoh, which means a white carrot without door. The answer is egg. Now, this puzzle has changed and sounds like this now, the White House without windows and doors. There are more than 20 similar puzzles. In addition, there are also the first prerequisites for the future of Kazakh musical art. Our ancestors mastered the notes and composed music in the distant 13th century. At the present time, the anthem of the Kipchaks has been modernized in Kazakhstan and performed on many world scenes. In 2015, the ensemble Kok Turikter first performed an anthem of all Turkic peoples in front of a wide audience. The Kipchak Codex is the oldest manuscript that has survived to this day. Therefore, Kazakh scientists should be interested in the preservation and study of this priceless heritage of ancestors.
Il codice non era un codice.
The book Codex Cumanicus did not look like current version when it was brought to the Doge's Palace in the 17th century. These were shabby separate pages. In the 18th century, they were systemized and collected in one book. After that, a huge number of scientists studied it. Therefore, it is difficult to say that now the book is in good condition. Restoration work is required again. There are many exhibits in the National Marciana Library connected with the state of Deshti-Kipchak. Among them, there are a huge number of medieval maps with the names of cities, lakes, and rivers on the Great Steppe. The territory where the Kipchaks settled are clearly outlined on the famous map of Venetian monk Fra Mauro. This atlas was prepared in 1450-1460 by decree of the King of Portugal Alonso V in the Church of San Giovanni. However, the original map never fell into the hands of the Portuguese king, but remained in Venice. As experts say, the map contained too much of secret information. The most interesting thing is that it does not have any radios. There is no equator. The states are not indicated where they actually were located. And this was done in the political interests of Venice.
È veramente straordinaria.
From our map prepared in the 15th century has a lot of information. There are not only geographical names, but also other important information. Experts note the skillful placement of a large number of different data on the map. The Caspian and Black Seas are clearly marked. There is the territory of present Kazakhstan. From Mauro collected all the necessary information for the map with the help of merchants who traded on the Great Silk Road. At that time, America was not yet discovered, and a round the world trip was not carried out yet. From our map was considered the most accurate in the Middle Ages. It contains more than 3,000 different signs and geographical names. Experts say that quite possibly secret data is encrypted in some signs. If they are solved, one can learn a lot about the peoples who inhabited the Great Steppe and their relations with Venice and other European cities. The map shows the settlements in the steppe, the roads that pass through them, including the Great Silk Road. All this testifies to the good development of trade and economic relations in the region. The capital of Altenburg, Sarai Batu, is specified on the map as well. Probably the famous cartographer also possessed other equally interesting data on the Great Steppe, but unfortunately, his personal archive and manuscripts disappeared already in modern times for unknown reasons.
Polo esiste Marco Polo.
Among the lost data collected by Fra Mauro, there was complete information about the political, military, and cultural life of the Kazakh state. According to some experts, the Venetian monk had personal ties with the steppe rulers, and they consulted on various issues. The scientific expedition Trails of Nomads has undertaken a good beginning, and we are always ready for cooperation. Our doors are always open for your scientists if they would like to study the works stored here.
Del 1330 e del mappamondo di Fra Mauro che è del 1450.
The participants of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads expressed their gratitude to the employees of the National Marciana Library for hospitality, assistance, and support in studying valuable medieval materials. In the Kazakh tradition, the leader of the expedition, Sapari Skakov, presented a Japan to one of the most experienced employees of the National Library. The Venetian side allowed the scientists to make copies of the necessary manuscripts and maps. The participants of the expedition got acquainted with other historical sites of Venice. Every corner of this ancient city is literally imbued with history. The Venetian area of the Campo dei Mori is especially close to the Kazakhs. Our ancestors lived there from the 12th century.
Вот мы с вами сейчас находимся на площади, историческое название которой, видите, Campo dei Mori, то есть площадь Мавров.
We are now standing in a historical place called the Square of the Moors. Moors are Arabs and North Africans. According to Venetian historians, not only Moors but also Kipchaks lived here. This is evidenced by these Turkic sculptures.
Фамилия, конечно, итальянизированная, неизвестно, каково было название этого семейства в оригинале. Вот. Но ученые местные высказывают предположение, что это могли быть и кипчаки.
Members of the expedition Trails of Nomads were among the first to visit the Venice area, which local scientists call Kipchak. In fact, there are a lot of images in the Turkic style on the walls of the buildings. There are scenes with a yurt. Of course, the presence of such an area in the heart of the famous Italian city speaks of a once close relationship between Deshti-Kipchak and Venice.
Квартал бұл арада сол кезінде 12-13 ғасырларда тұрған саудагерлердің тұрған осы кварталы көрінеді.
The Kipchak merchants lived here in the 12th and 13th centuries. The locals called this place a quarter of the Moors, but in fact representatives of different peoples resided here, including the Kipchaks. In general, peoples with similar cultures and languages lived here. They are Arabs, Persians, Kipchaks. The images on the walls of these buildings indicate that people from Asia lived here.
Ол қай жерде тұрды? Ол осы кварталда тұрды. Мұнда тұрды арабтар, парсылар, қыпшақтар, басқа халықтар. Сондықтан мынау қарап тұрсаңыздар, жарда тұрған суреттердің өзі соны дәлелдеп отыр. Бұл арада Азиядан келген саудагерлердің тұрған.
On the paintings of medieval artists, one can find the figures of the Turkic royals. But for some reason, they're called Mongolian soldiers. In fact, they were Kipchaks. One of the tasks of the expedition was to prove it.
ішінде жарда тұрған барельефтерді қарасаңыз, сонда прямо біздің кәдімгі бабаларымызға ұқсас Азиядан келген қыпшақтардың түрін көріп.
In some churches, bas-reliefs depict persons resembling our ancestors that are Asians. In the 18th century, Napoleon formed a prison guard consisting of the Mamluks during his campaign against Egypt and brought them to Europe. These brave warriors took part in the battles near Moscow in 1812. This is mentioned in Olja Suleymanov's book Az-Iya.
1812 жылы Москваның түбінде соғысқа қатысқан. Оны мынау Азиядан кітапты оқысаңыз, Олжа Сүлейменовтің, сонда бар.
Mainly Crimean Kipchaks lived in Venice. In the Middle Ages, there were large shopping centers on the Black Sea coast. A group of merchants settled in the islands. Hired warriors were with them. Slave trade was a common thing in the markets of Crimea. The fate of Sultan Baybars is a striking example. After all, the captured Kipchak was also sold into slavery in one of such bazaars. There were also many versions about where and how the Kipchaks were buried.
Собственно, могилы находятся под полом храма, они могут быть разной глубины.
Then the Kipchaks who lived in the West accepted Christianity. Therefore, we were buried with local people, as there was only one faith, in the church or in the cemetery. In the time of Napoleon, the remains of people were transported to other places. They said that it was necessary to preserve the authority of Venice.
Многие подобные захоронения были разорены, то есть он это делал принципиально. Кости все вывозились, и такой остров Санариано в Северной Лагуне, все в общую могилу, то есть там уже найти что-то невозможно.
There were very close ties between Venice and Deshti-Kipchak. Venetians were interested in the formation of the Kazakh Khanate. In the 15th century, the Ottoman Empire conquered Constantinople, and they desired to subjugate neighboring states. In addition, feuds in the dynasty of Emir Timur adversely affected the development of Italian trade. Therefore, Venetian merchants associated their prosperous future with the appearance of a young Kazakh Khanate, which would be a receiver of the Kipchak state. After all, trade developed particularly rapidly during the period of its domination in this territory. European scientists adhered this policy heading to the Great Steppe. Historians and travelers studied the physicality and other subtleties of the steppe civilization. Among them, there was famous European traveler Marco Polo, who discovered Asia for the world. Members of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads visited his native island. The study of the works of this famous scientist will reveal many white spots in the history of members of the expedition.
Мы только что с вами прошли по мосту, который носит имя путешественника, известного Марко Поло, и стоим как раз на острове, где когда-то жил...
We just passed through the bridge named after the famous traveler Marco Polo, and now we are on the island where he and his family lived. On a plaque over there it is written, "An explorer who visited the most remote parts of Asia lived here." Some moments of Marco Polo's life can be attributed both to the legend and to the truth. It is said that he lived here, but on the other hand, he traveled a lot, and such information sometimes contradicts each other. It was from here that Marco Polo went on a trip to China with his father and brother. According to the manuscripts, Marco Polo spent 24 years there. He was a friend of the Mongol Khan and the Chinese ruler Kublai. Moreover, Marco headed one of the provinces of China in his army. Just at that time, he began studying history and started making first notes. There are some interesting facts about the Eastern peoples, especially about the Kipchaks. Participants of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads studied the historical sites of Venice for 2 days. Scientists have learned valuable information that will help reveal new historical facts. Copies of the most important manuscripts were made. Young scientists got valuable information to study. Now they need detailed scientific research. Riding the most violent agramoks, our ancestors defended the expanses of the immense homeland. Therefore, honoring every page of a great history is a sacred duty of present and future generations. The cradle of all the Turkic peoples is Antalya, the common ancestral home is only time. Knowledge of the history of the native land will only add strength to the descendants. With this goal, the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads is traveling around the world. Eternal city of all time and people, the glorious Rome is its next stop. Our ancestors conquered it as well. They left here many bright and important traces.